The anti-Hindu hate witnessed in UK last year is not just limited to Leicester and Birmingham, but the survey conducted by the Henry Jackson Society across UK schools is a proof that this hate is deeply penetrating its society as well. The survey has revealed that there's widespread discrimination against Hindu students in UK schools. In the study, 51% of Hindu parents have said that their children experienced anti-Hindu hate in schools. 8 cases of physical abuse were also reported in schools surveyed by the UK think tank. What is also shocking is that many schools even fail to record such Hindu-phobic specific instances of bullying. Ladies and gentlemen, the instances shared by parents of these students will send a chill down your spine. The report mentions how a Hindu child was bullied for wearing a tilak on his forehead, and this forced him to change 3 schools over a period of time. A little girl was called names and had a piece of beef flung at her by her peers in the school. Not just this, the report goes on to reveal how blatantly banned practices such as Sati Pratha are still being taught as part of Hinduism in UK classrooms. That is the level of Hinduphobia that has been shown by this study. Joining me tonight on the debate to debate on whether this is now a reality that needs to be addressed, I'm joined by Ishkaran Bhandari, advocate who continues to be on the show, Majid Haidari, political analyst, Lokesh Jindal, leader of the Congress party, also joining the show. But my first question goes to Charlotte Littlewood, research fellow at the Jackson Study Center. And I want to ask you, Charlotte Littlewood, is this now a fact that was brushed under the carpet for so long that India is still not just a land of elephants and snakes, but the Hinduism practices date back to prehistoric eras?
Sorry, I'm not sure I understood the question. Are you saying that this has been an issue of anti-Hindu hate that's been brushed under the carpet for a number of years?
Yes, that's right.
Yes, I think it comes down to both an ignorance and a really, sadly, a lack of care. So, yes, we have seen anti-Hindu hate last year through what happened in Leicester with the clash between Hindu and Muslim communities. And then we now have gone forward with this report to look at what is anti-Hindu hate, how is it manifesting? And in fact, it would seem that this is something that has been apparent for a long time and that the Hindu community have been suffering. And the reasons that we posit for the lack of attention and lack of defense to the Hindu community are manifestly threefold. One is ignorance and an approach which is Abrahamic and in parts colonialist in the way in which teachers and educators are looking at Hinduism from a subconscious sort of biased position in the first place, and that's directly leading to discrimination in the classroom. And then you've got the fact that the Hindu community do make up a smaller proportion than the much larger Muslim community in the UK. And as we look towards elections, especially those in Leicester, looking towards the mayoral elections, which are just next month, there is an extent to which politicians are speaking to vote banks and a perception that the Muslim community, wrongly, that the Muslim community is against the Hindu community as a whole, because the extremist factions of the Muslim community grab the microphone, say they represent the whole, and then say that there's a Hindu extremism issue in the UK. So that is what's causing politicians to brush this under the carpet, as you say. And then lastly, there seems to be a general disinterest in the experiences of the Hindu community, and we wonder whether that is just owing to the fact that they are so well integrated, successful, peaceful, and that this has led to a situation in the political space that we now live in where those that are afforded the most attention and defense are those that are seen to be sort of anti-establishment or facing huge levels of hate or impoverished or without power, without authority. Those are the ones that are given a great platform and attention. If the Hindu community is seen to be successful, integrated and doing well financially, then they are being ignored, is a third aspect to the lack of attention and the brushing under the carpet.
Well, very well enumerated by Charlotte Littlewood there, and that's why I want to ask Mr. Majid Hydari. I don't know if you paid attention to the words used by Charlotte Littlewood. She did say that the Hindu community were fewer in number, and the hardliners of the Muslim community somehow pushed them down, and the hate was really stemming out of their one. Partially, and secondly, that the Hindu community was peaceful and blending with the society, better placed, getting to higher levels of jobs, etc., which is why the hate is directed towards them. I want to ask you, would you now want to admit that there is Hinduphobia, and that Leicester and Birmingham, where the Hindu community was first blamed, clearly was a type of typecasting that was triggered by the other community?
Well, Navika Saiba, what I candidly want to admit about this report is that I see a Saffron equation in this report by Harry Janardhan Foundation. See, why I say so? Because there is one issue that UK is essentially a Christian-dominated country, where Hindus comprise of the most minuscule population of 1.7%, and still the Christian majority chose a Hindu prime minister. So that essentially shows that the Britishers are not about communalism, or they don't have any Hinduphobia, Islamophobia, whatever you call it. But my simple point is that if the Britishers can do it, can our BJP government say that the next prime minister will be from the minority in the Indian country? Will it be some Muslim, some Sikh, some Christian, or some Dalit? I mean, it's the question for the BJP to decide, because the Britishers have shown how secular they are by choosing a Hindu prime minister. Now the time is for the BJP to decide and take a call on this. Yes, over to you, madam.
Well, Ishkaran Bhandari, as always, now a study done by a think tank in the UK is also saffronized. That's the explanation Mr. Majid Hydari has. How predictable is that?
Now, because there are three things in the study: Hindus are a minority, Hindus are peaceful, and Hindus are well adjusted, is the reason they suffer the most. Globally, Hindus are a minority. We have to accept that reality. When we were a minority in Kashmir, they were thrown out. The same agenda is being carried now, unfortunately, overseas. But the bigger problem is not only in the Western world. See Bollywood, how they would depict Hindu god and goddesses versus how they would depict any other religion. They won't dare to do 1/100th of the mockery or humor they do to Hindu gods and goddesses that they do to any other religion. That's a fact. The second aspect which we need to understand very well, the casual racism. When somebody like Raghuram Rajan casually says Hindu rate of growth to depict a slowing rate of economy made by socialists and the Congress era. So that casual racism is not allowed against any other religion or any other color, caste, and creed. But for Hinduism, this casual racism comes if you link economy with the Hindu rate of growth, and the economy was stuttering. Today it is Hindutva rate of growth. Today we have become the fifth largest economy. Do they say Hindu policies have made it the best economy? They will not. So this casual racism mixed with the inherent nature of Hindus to be peaceful and well adjusted, along with the fact that we are a minority, is the problem. I thank this organization, I thank Ms. Littlewood, that at least now data is coming out on this, which was well known to everybody. Hopefully now with this data, further action, so this evil of Hindu phobia ends in this country and this world.
Well, Lokesh Jindal, the mild racism today gives rise to Hindu phobia. Does the Congress have any cross that it carries in its heart?
Well, we have had certain Englishmen, women, embracing Hinduism in the past. We had Annie Besant, we had Madam Blavatsky, some of the prominent people who embraced Hinduism. So I would not buy this argument that there is any form of a Hinduphobia that's too much predominant in the Western countries.
You're talking
there are instances.
Annie Besant, when are you talking about? Which year, sir? And which year are we in? Which century?
Yes, I understand. 100 years ago, when things were not so radical. I mean, right now, if you say that in England, all over, there is some form of a Hinduphobia, it's something which is difficult to digest. If there are instances in Leicester, as has been reported by Charlotte, so in that case, as a global citizen, there's an appeal to the UK government to lay down guidelines to make sure that laws are in place to ensure that as citizens of UK who are there, their right to religion, their liberty their right to citizens of England, they are all safeguarded. They are enjoying their social, cultural, political, and other civil rights. And the state must ensure that all such untoward incidents are prevented and prohibited. India is a secular nation. We cannot come out and claim that we are champions of Hinduism or some form of religious ideology.
But when Charlie Hebdo happened, when the cartoons happened, there were marches here. Do you remember Ishkaran Bhandari? Ishkaran Bhandari, because it was against one community, they could have, a lot of marches over here. But if Hindus are targeted, well, they will only appeal to the UK government, and after that, they'll go back to sleep. That's the secularism practiced by the Congress party, Ishkaran.
That is why when this debate started, I said the problem in United Kingdom is worrying. But the genesis of that problem is in India, where people like Lokesh Jindal are busy whitewashing the facts. Where Bollywood, the soft power...
Ishkaran, what do you expect? Declare war on UK?
1 second, don't interrupt me.
What do you want? You want to file an FIR here in India?
Please don't interrupt me. I made a point. Everything. Can I answer that? Please don't interrupt me. Please don't interrupt me. It's about Hindu rights. Once in a while, please let people who bother about that speak up. Thank you. Navika ji, the reality is that's why it started by Bollywood, which has to sell its movie to the Middle East, to the entire global audience, where the Sanatan Dharma is the minority. So what you see, how they display the movies PK, how they display, how they joke, how they mock across their movies is one part of it. The other part is the intelligentsia. How, as I gave one example of Hindu rate of growth, there are multiple other examples, including jibes at cow urine, this and that. The jibes they will never dare to take at some other religion. Then from there, when we go globally, because we are basically in India, one country, we are a minority, and that is exploited because of a vote bank politics, plus a brotherhood which across nations says we are a brotherhood. So Hindus become a target because then they become those people who worship false gods as per these people.
Well,
so combination
you're absolutely right, Ishkaran Bhandari, but let me get in Charlotte Littlewood for one last time. And Charlotte Littlewood, a question has been raised by a panelist here who says maybe the Henry Jackson fellow, you're representing the Henry Jackson Society, and he says that maybe you have links with the present government in India, and therefore you're a little bit of saffronized, and saffron is the color that is used for Hindu supporters in India.
Right.
How would you respond to this charge that has been made that Henry Jackson Institute is something to do with the friendship with the Indian present government and their right-leaning Hindu thinking outlook?
I mean that's very bizarre, really, isn't it? We're an independent think tank that works on a cross-section of issues. We were doing stuff on the KBG and Russia just yesterday, a book launch. We heavily look at the rise of China's security threats. Just last week, I was talking about TikTok and China. Yes, but we get these things thrown at us, especially when we look at extremism within the Islamist community, like the Islamist extremist section of the Muslim community. We get those kind of accusations. But I do find it curious because this report isn't even looking at that. This report is looking at anti-Hindu hate. It mentions hate that's coming from Christian pupils. It mentions prejudice that's being created by teachers in schools, and it mentions prejudice that's coming from Muslim peers as well. So for this report, it's even more bizarre that it should be considered connected to the Indian government.
Well, very well said. And Majid Hydari, I do hope you would note this, because very often when real facts come out, the best you can do, my friend, is to question the study itself. That really is the limitation of those who will never recognize Hinduphobia as a practice, not just in the UK, but in some political fields, followers as well, back home in India. Think about it, Majid Hydari and Mr. Lokesh Jindal, and we'll debate this for a while now, because there are many in India who will not even acknowledge this study because it doesn't say what suits them. We leave it at that. Thank you very much to all my panelists for joining me on the Newshour tonight. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Be safe.